Hello, so it's Michael here, and today I thought I would go ahead and do a tutorial on how you can better manage your actors at runtime. Now, what I mean by manage your actors, I'm kind of referring to a way to be able to essentially get a reference to kind of like any actor that you spawn within the level from anywhere else within your game. There's kind of a few ways you can reference something. So I am currently inside the dialogue tutorial project. What I'm going to be showing here isn't necessarily going to be anything specific to the dialogue system or anything like that, but there are a few things in here that just make it a little bit easier to demonstrate what we're going to be doing. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and create a blueprint class. It's going to be a type actor. I'm just going to call it BP actor test. So if we go ahead and open that up, I'm just going to plop in a static mesh just so we can see it in the world. And I'm going to set it to the lovely blue chamfer cube. And then I'm going to go ahead and place that in the level. Now let's say we wanted this cube to actually do something on another actor. Now one common way to do that is go ahead and create a variable, so we'll call this actor ref. And we take the type, change the type to of type actor. And we do that as an object reference. And then under the variable tab itself with the variable selected, you can actually tick where it says instance editable. And what that allows us to do inside the level, when we select the cube on the details panel, you should see the reference. That's because it's instance editable. But with it being an actor type reference, we can actually select actors in the level. So if I was to place another cube, for example, I can use a little picker tool and I can select it. So this cube here specifically now has a reference to this cube within the actor ref variable. This one here doesn't, because that's still none, but if we wanted to, we could have that pick one as well. So these two cubes kind of like reference each other. Now, doing it this way, in a lot of cases, is all you need, particularly if it's like more of a scripted event where you're setting it up in the editor itself. But there may be times or instances where the thing that needs the reference isn't something that's placed in the level, and it might be something that's actually spawned at runtime. Having said that, sometimes it's not always easy just to get a reference through this particular method. So what we need to do is kind of come up with a system that allows us to essentially register an actor with a specific name, so then we can get that from somewhere else. So that's kind of the end goal, really. So what we're going to do, I'm going to open the content browser, and I'm going to right-click, create a blueprint class, and this is going to be of type actor component. And I'm just going to call this one actor manager, just like so. And this particular actor component, what we want to do is actually place it onto potentially the game state. Now, the game state itself is unique to each specific level, but it can be kind of fetched from most places. So I'm just going to find where the game mode is. So this one here. And for the game state, it's currently just using the default game state base. So what we're going to have to do as well is create a custom one of those. So blueprint class, we're probably going to have to search for game state. That's so. And then we select that, let's call it GS third person. Okay. That's so. And then we'll go ahead and select that in the game mode itself. Now if we play, it should still be working, which is great. The only difference now is this game state is what's being used. And we'll quickly double check to make sure it is actually loading. Just going to do a quick print string. Call that custom game state. Yeah, so that's printing at the top left of the screen there. So wonderful. Now, with the game state being set and used, what we're then going to do is actually add that actor manager component to the game state. Like so. And in terms of the game state, that's all we need to do. So we're going to close out of those. Now, what I'm going to do is open up the actor manager. So this is the component that's essentially going to manage the actors that we're kind of interested in. I'm going to call this registered actors. So I'm going to start by adding a variable. I'm going to call this one registered actors, like so. And it's going to be of type actor. So because it's of a type actor, pretty much any actor you spawn in the level can be registered with the actor manager. If it isn't a child of actor, then it's not something that'll be able to be plugged in. Now, for the actual type, we want to do that as a name, and then set it to a map where the value is the actor type variable. I want that to be the object reference. Now, the reason why we do it as name is because we can then specify a name here and connect the references in here. Because we're inside the actor itself, we can't physically select any of these. So that's just something to be aware of. But in terms of this variable here, is actually something that would get populated at runtime. So we just want to make sure that the registered actor starts off empty. I'm just going to save and compile. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a new function. I'm going to call that one register actor. And we're going to get the registered actors variable, and we're just going to add to the map. Like so. Now for the input name, I am going to refer this to as UID. So that's short for unique identifier. So that's just something to be aware of, that it does need to be a unique name. Now there may be additional checks you want to do to see if, for example, if the UID already exists in here, so you're not overriding others. But we'll quickly go ahead and do that as well. So this way it's only going to actually add a variable to the list if it doesn't already exist. Now this is to prevent duplicate keys being used within the registered actors. Okay. So if it does, I'm just going to do a print text. And this is just going to be a debug message. I'll do a format text on that. So attempted to register actor with UID that already exists. And then I'm going to do actor, and then UID. So if you've not used the format text before, if you put anything inside the curly braces, it kind of adds it as an input, which allows you to then put some stuff in. I'm just going to rename the input from value to actor as well. We're going to get the input variable, so that's the actor, and the input UID, and just connect those into the debug. So this way, if the UID is already in use, it'll then just print the name of the actor and the UID that it's attempted to register with. So that can just help you kind of track down any conflicts that there might be that you can update. I'm actually just going to go ahead and just replace some of these with the input variables, just to help keep it tidy. Just like so. So this particular function is essentially complete. So that's going to come in and register the actor. So it's going to store it in this particular variable. The next one I want to do is unregister actor. And it's going to be something very similar. So we want to remove the UID key pair from the map. So for the input, I'm just going to rename that to UID. Again, you could do something on the branch here where if it's didn't exist, it comes with the message. Generally, though, it's probably not necessary, so it's up to you whether or not you want to do that. Now, the next thing I do want to do is actually, in terms of the variable itself, the registered actors, we actually want to make this private. Now, the reason why is because we don't want anything else to ever have direct access to this variable. Because if they do, it means they can manipulate this data without going through these functions. And we don't want to allow that at all. Now, you're probably thinking, well, if it's private, how are we going to get the references we need? Simply put, we're going to create a function. So get registered actor. Actor, there we go. And for this, we pull in the variable again, and this time we do the find. Like so. And the input's going to be a UID. I'm going to go ahead and do a return. Just like so. Now, you can go ahead and make this pure if you wanted to. There's pros and cons to that. In this particular instance, I'm just going to leave it as impure. But I'm just going to have a quick description, which is if UID not found, the value will be null. Yeah, so it's just one thing to be aware of with this particular node, where if the UID doesn't exist in here, it will still attempt to pass a value, but it'll just be null. So it's just something to be aware of when you do actually use this function. So you may need to use like an isValid node to check that it's actually found what you're looking for. So in terms of these functions, that is most of the actor manager complete. So if we come back into the actor cube, there are a few things that we can do straight off the bat in here. So we can actually, so for example, we get the game state. Like so, and then we do the get component by class. And we can do the actor manager. And then we can do the get registered actor, just like so. Now the UID, it's not letting us manually type one in there, so what I'm going to do is just untick the pass by ref on the UID input, like so. And we could probably do the same on the other two functions as well. So now we can manually type something in there if you wanted to. Of course, there's nothing stopping us from connecting a variable as well. So just this off the bat, we'll attempt to get an actor from the active manager. Now, with that done, what we still need to do, however, is actually set up something that allows us to be able to tell an actor, hey, you need to register yourself with the actor manager. Because at the moment, we could start the level, but the actor manager itself is going to be empty. There's nothing in there, because we've not told it to put anything in there yet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and create a new actor component. And I'm going to call this one a register actor. Again, in terms of these names, you can always rename them something else if it makes it easier. And in this particular actor component, I'm going to add a new variable. I'm just going to call this one UID. That's going to be of type name, and I'm going to make it instance editable and expose on spawn. Then what we can do on the begin play, we're going to get the game state again, get the component by class, so the actor component, the actor manager, and then we're going to call that register actor. And then we're going to connect to the UID into there, like so. Now, in terms of the actor input here, all we want to do is do get owner. So what this will do is wherever we put this actor component onto, it's always going to get the owner of this actor component and tell it to register with the actor manager. Okay, so just a quick tidy up. Okay, so that's the connected to the begin play event. Now, what we also want to do is actually use the end play as well. Now, what we want to do if the actor that this component's on is ever destroyed, that's going to destroy this register actor component as well. And it's at that point we would then unregister the actor as well. And this just prevents there being references within the registered actors where the actors have been destroyed, and it'd just be essentially an invalid reference, which we want to try and avoid that. So in this one, we can just go ahead and plug in the UID variable input. So that is that for the register actor. So what we can do, we can actually use this actor in multitude of ways. So you can actually just pick something in the level, and then in the details panel there is the add component up here, which will add that component only for this specific instance of the actor. So for example, register actor. And when it's placed in there, you'll then have access to the UID, so we'll call this one cube underscore 01. That's so this cube here, this doesn't have that on it, but this cube does. So with that done, if we actually go ahead and play the level, obviously I'm not going to debug or anything in there, but if we actually go to the actor manager and select the instance, and we find something like the unregister actor, if we hover over the variable, we can see that the cube in the level has been registered, so we have a reference to it. So we can fetch that reference whenever we wanted to. So what we need to do now is kind of really test this. So in the actor test, I'm actually going to delete the actor ref variable that we created, just because in this particular instance I don't think we really need that anymore. So what I want to do is set it up so the cube can destroy another cube. There we go. So on the actor test, I am going to, on the begin play, just do a quick delay. And we'll set this to 2 seconds. And then we'll do the get level actor. And you'll probably notice it's not in the list, so we do need to get the game state again. And get the component. Actor manager. Then we can get the level actor. Registered actor. So, and then we'll just call that to destroy actor. Now for the UID, I'm just going to promote this to this, so actor to destroy, and I'm going to set that as instance editable. But before I do that, I'm just going to do a quick check to make sure it's not empty. So is empty or it is not equal to none. So as long as the named variable there has something in it, it will attempt to find that reference and then do something with it. So we'll go ahead and do a quick is valid on there as well. Just like so. Just in case, for whatever reason, this does get called, even though it's not actually a valid reference. So if we come back to the third person character, we have the register actor on here on the right hand cube, which is registering it with the name cube underscore 01. Then on the second actor, for the actor to destroy, I'm just going to plug that name in. Now if we play, in 2 seconds, you notice the actor's disappeared. So this actor has just pulled the reference that it needed from the actor manager. So yeah, so that's kind of it really. There's not really much else to say. So that's kind of a very basic actor manager that you can use in your projects to allow you to register specific actors, so you can just essentially pull them out of thin air. Now, I suppose one last thing we could possibly do is this here. Obviously could get quite tedious having to keep getting the game state and getting the component. So this is one of these areas where it could be quite useful to actually create a blueprint function library. So FL register actor, we'll save that first, there we go. And then for the first function there, we're just going to call this one get registered actor. There we go. And then here we can do the get game state. Now, because we are in a function library, we have to give it some world context for some of these variables. So if we pull from world context object, we should be able to get world. And there should be an option for get world context. So we do have to make sure that that's connected. And then we can do the get component by class. So the actor manager. And then we do the get registered actor. And we do want to make sure it's the one from the actor component and not the one in the function library. So if you look at the target, that should give you a clue. So it should say actor manager, assuming you've used the same name. And then we just connect the UID up to the front. Then we add a return and plug in the value. Compile. Now in here we could actually replace some of the stuff here with the get registered actor from that function library, and that just helps collapse some of this stuff into something that's a little bit more manageable. It's probably a good word for it. Like so with us putting all of that stuff inside that function library, that just makes it really easy to be able to get the registered actor. So it's something that could even be done inside the dialog components, for example. You could have it where we get the registered actor in here, and then we could do something on it or whatever. And that's quite useful because, as I mentioned, it's kind of a way to be able to get a reference out of thin air. Now, as I mentioned, this is of type actor. So if you did need to be able to call some specific functions, you would then have to cast to whatever it was that you felt it should be. Just like so, and then you can call whatever those functions are. So yeah, so that's just about it. A nice simple actor manager to hopefully make things a little bit easier in terms of getting some of those actor references that you're looking for. So yeah, so I just want to say thanks for watching the video, and I just want to say thank you for everyone that's been giving me support specifically on the tutorials that I've been creating. Hopefully this is just another one that you find useful. I do have a Discord channel, so if you want to chat about your projects or need help with some of the tutorials that I've got on my channel, you can feel free to go ahead and hop over to there. Also, I do have a Ko-Fi page, so if you do want to support me, that's an option as well, so feel free to check that out. All the links are in the video description. So again, I just want to say thanks and take care.